Hi, my name is Lalita Raman. I'm here to discuss the topic violence against women, especially in the subcontinent. And for those of you listening to this or viewing this, it's actually an appeal and a request that please play your part in trying to stop violence and abuse against women. And each of you can definitely make an effort. It's no surprise that violence against women has almost become a daily norm and part and parcel of our daily lives, especially in India and Pakistan, where women's life probably has no value and no one cares a damn. In our society, the acts of domestic violence and dowry deaths are the best kept secret. I'm aghast and horrified when people start discussing number of deaths and compare to the number of deaths caused by violence in the Western countries, or even when a woman is raped, a witness is demanded. Shocking, isn't it? It's not about putting a statistic on something as appalling, disturbing, and as horrific as dowry deaths, acid burning, and other forms of violence against women. Please remember that most of these women who actually are subject to these abuse are in the prime of their lives, probably say between the age of 15 and 34. The question we need to ask ourselves is that should we not be offering them a better quality of life rather than questioning the veracity of numbers and drawing consolation from the fact that probably the Western countries are the same as us? Should we not be hanging our heads down in shame every time we hear of violent abuse against women? Women in our society, sadly, are considered a very cheap commodity, and their lives have absolutely no value. Should it not be a wake-up call to each one of us to get up and do something rather than be complicit and silent? Our society is complicit in its silence and support, including the authorities and police. Mentioning of police, I've heard of various instances where you actually try and go to a police station and they turn around, and I'm going to say this in Hindi, ये तो मियाँ बीवी का मामला है, आप क्यों बीच में ढकल दे रहे हैं? This is how the authorities and the police view these situations. There is no use of having a legislation because if the abused can't take protection against the law, protection under the law. We have over the years been lax about this issue, and this includes both women, yes, women and men. Dowry deaths, let me take as an instance, happens because of the man who is a husband, the in-laws, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and the other family members, and in fact, I would actually add the parents of the girl. The fact that you want your daughter to get married with dowry in itself is a crime, in my opinion. Because you should remember that once a man is greedy, the greed only increases, and that's what results in bride burning and dowry deaths much later in life, where she probably even commits suicide because she's so suffocated in living in a house which has never-ending demands on dowry. My concern with some of the forms of violence is that things like eve-teasing and street harassment, seclusion of women who have lost their husband, is not even considered violence in our country. There are authorities like the police who are many times oppressors themselves. So you think they actually protect the law, whereas they turn out to be rapists themselves. Again, some women are involved in the heinous activity of bride burning and female feticide. It's not just men. So it's time, as a society, we actually look at this violence and stop acting as if we don't know anything about it and put an end to this violence. Also, many times the public officials point fingers while victims of domestic violence are trying to figure out who will protect them. There are, of course, many institutions, NGOs that help violence against violence survivors, but they struggle and they probably close down with a lack of funds. In the subcontinent, a girl, when she is raped, does not even know whom she should turn to. She has no moral support. A lot of time her family abandons her because it's considered a taboo. Yes, though she is the victim, and she survived a rape and she comes back to be accepted by society, she is blatantly refused and doors are closed on her. She is forced to therefore commit suicide since she will not be accepted by society. On the other hand, the oppressors many times are released since they have connections, political or otherwise, and sometimes a lot of the survivors or the victims are not able to get witnesses, and that is considered as inadequate proof. What I can't understand is that when a girl is raped, surely she will not be able to get any witnesses. To me, it seems that if there were any witnesses to this rape of a woman or a girl, they should be considered oppressors because they silently watched a woman being raped. Culture and mindsets, which are probably the most common excuses in the subcontinent, can and should be changed. Money is required to be put behind the legislation, i.e. in the implementation of the legislation. Why is there always a crunch in the availability of funds for raising awareness of violence against women when hordes of money is being spent on irrelevant projects both in India and Pakistan? It's not about getting more women into politics. It is about prosecuting people who are oppressors. Society at large, as well as the authorities and police, have to ensure that the oppressors are punished and not let go and they serve their jail terms completely. Mindset can only be changed, I believe, if both women and men come out and speak against this disastrous treatment of women. Why don't we start as a first step by including this as part of our formal education process? Also, parents instilling a discipline with their sons and daughters, each of us spreading the word among colleagues and friends. Media can reach masses in the subcontinent, and I think we really need to use the media more to spread awareness and basically raise awareness about saying no to child marriage, no to violence, and no to dowry giving or dowry taking. Think about it, that tomorrow it could be your daughter or your mother or your sister who could probably be raped or who could be abused. And I would consider even emotional abuse to be violence against women. Please help the women in the society and treat them as a normal human being. Thank you.